Hi, I'm Michael, and this is California. And with the pandemic on a backslide, now is the time for the Congress to start thinking about how to help Americans from the point where the lockdown ends to the point where our economy is back to up and running and viable. And even Mitch McConnell is thinking that there might be a need for a fifth stimulus package to help folks up through that process, even including another stimulus check. So today we're going to look at what is the potentiality of a fifth stimulus package as well as a second stimulus check, when it could potentially happen, and what would be in one of those kinds of packages. Now, before we do that, if you like this information, if you find it interesting, you find it useful, please don't forget to like and subscribe. That way you can get updates when our newest and most informative videos become available. So let's do a little bit of catch up because a lot has changed from the last time we did a stimulus check, and it's been a little while. I know lots of folks are making tons of videos about every little nook and cranny of the potentiality of a possibility of something potentially maybe almost happening, but it looks like this actually has been a shift in what's going on with the stimulus check. So there's been some big changes. One thing is that states are actually opening back up. So some states are partially open, some states like California are not open, some states are fully open, like nothing ever happened. It never happened. Any pandemic, what pandemic? Right? So states are getting opened up. People are getting back to work, some faster than others. And the Senate and the House are starting to see more eye to eye on the potentiality of a stimulus check, seeing that there is going to be a necessity for money for Americans out there during this time frame from when the lockdown ends to when everything gets back to normal. So that seeing eye to eye is a big difference. Before, we were hearing the Republicans in the Senate saying any sort of serious stimulus bill, anything that would be there to pass out stimulus money would be dead on arrival. Now, I don't want to be that guy, but again, I did mention seems like more of a negotiating tactic than a sincere effort to stall a stimulus check for the Republicans. For example, they want to hold out and see how long everything would last, and if everything opened back up, then maybe there wouldn't be a need to spend any money on the stimulus checks or anything like that, or a stimulus bill. Or they can still hold out and say, hey, you know what, we're not going to sign anything, but now that they see it and people are still hurting, now they can start negotiating and change those Heroes Act mountains down to more palatable Republican molehills. So I think a lot of that has changed, but looking at the prospect of a fifth stimulus bill means that there's going to be some things for Democrats and some things for Republicans, even if it's at the expense of Americans who are going to need the help for sure over the next couple months. So let's talk specifically about the change in tune from Mitch McConnell. So yesterday on Tuesday, he had mentioned that there is a likely possibility of getting a fifth relief bill passed, and it will happen in the next month or so. So we got a time frame, which is a month or so, We have a probability, which is likely. That's a probability, right? But obviously, he's not looking at having a $3 trillion behemoth like Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats in the House are looking to do. It's going to be a little bit more scaled down and maybe more based on what the current situation of folks in America are. Because undoubtedly, there's folks who are hurting, but there are folks who are getting back to work overall across the country. Additionally, they're going to try to include things that Republicans want in this. So things like liability protections, payroll tax cuts, find a way to get folks back to work, like a back to work bonus where you can keep some of your unemployment benefits even if you are going back to work. So it's got that kind of carrot and that stick approach to it. And then things that they would definitely not want to consider in there are things like the $600 PUA weekly benefit, the expansion for the unemployment. Larry Kudlow said that that would not be included in a new stimulus bill. That's something that they are really adamant against. And it makes sense if they're trying to force people back to work, even though a lot of folks are concerned about going back to work because it may not be healthy, it may not be safe, and there has not been a vaccine yet. So, I think trying to force people to back to work is going to put them in a difficult situation where they have to decide between their health and between their finances. And that just doesn't seem to be fair. But of course, there's always going to be a balance. That's the nature of government. And we'll have to see what the end product looks like with the Democrats and the Republicans negotiating together for this fifth stimulus bill. So I think this is very promising to see that Congress seems motivated to action, which is saying a lot with reference to Congress, because oftentimes they just kind of sit around and they talk, they don't do anything. But it looks like they are motivated to get something done, at least in the near future, in the next couple months or so, for a potentially fifth stimulus bill. But I also get the fact that they are concerned about budgets on the Republican side. I run a small business. I understand what that means. But, the government is not a small business. They're not there to hold or try to save money necessarily. They're there to try to ensure that the people in the country are safe and healthy and get the resources they need, specifically when there is a pandemic like there is right now. Because we still don't know how long it's going to take anyone to get back to work, and we don't know when there's going to be a vaccine. So I hope that whatever decision, whatever compromise that the House and the Senate and the President all get back together, I hope that it's enough for people to be helped out. I hope that it's soon enough, and it doesn't just take benefits out from under folks simply because they're trying to get back to work without regard to whether it's healthy or safe to do so. Thank you so much for watching our video, and I hope that you found it interesting or useful, or at least you liked it. And if you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe. That way you can get updates when our newest and most informative videos become available. Also, if you have any comments, any questions, leave them down below. We love to see your comments and questions. We'll be happy to make a new post or a new video to go over those questions as soon as we can. Now, finally, we here at California, we know health insurance. So whether it's Covered California or Medicare or Medicaid or Medi-Cal or health insurance for a small business, we know health insurance. So if you have questions about your health insurance, please leave those down below as well, and we'll make a new video or a new post to go over those also. Now, other than that, I am Michael, and this is California, wishing you a happy, healthy day.